Startups are learning how to take months, if not years, off of their startup journey. I'm Janine Lang, startup coach, author, and entrepreneur. In this podcast series, I'm speaking to successful business owners and asking them, what is the biggest mistake that they've made? What did it cost them, especially in terms of time? And most importantly, what are some valuable lessons that they learned from that experience? Because the intent of this is to save you, our listeners, valuable time on your startup journey. Now, my guest today is Paul Zohav, and he is a marriage and communications coach. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to meeting all of your folks.
Terrific. Thank you. Well, please, we want to get to know you. So just tell us briefly, what is the coaching that you do?
I meet couples at any stage of their relationship, any crossroads, whether they're premarital, newly married and learning how to live together, young couples with children who now have to balance finances, parenting, families, careers, and their own marriage, empty nesters who wake up one day and realize, where'd our kids go? Well, they grew up and moved on. So then the question is, what's next for the next 20, 30, 40 years they have to live on this planet? And I also see couples challenged by cheating and infidelity. And maybe lastly, people come for what I call compatibility checkups. If you're going to be dating something and you hit your sixth date and you're thinking about moving in together, why not learn what you need to know to have a relationship that will last you a lifetime? Compatibility checkups. I'll meet anybody at any crossroads of their life, period.
Great. Thank you so much. That's a great description of it. And I'm just fascinated. What inspired you to start doing that work?
Well, the experience that inspired me. I was a substitute teacher at a Nelson County, Virginia high school.
Oh.
And I had mentioned to the teachers, the students, especially the female students, you don't have to accept abuse from your boyfriend. And their answer was, Mr. Z, if I don't accept abuse from my boyfriend, I don't have a boyfriend.
Oh.
And with a brand new ink still wet degree in counseling from the University of Virginia, I started domestic violence intervention program for Central Virginia.
Yeah.
I want to have resources for perpetrators that they would never show up in my DV class.
Yes.
And so that's where about 35 years ago that began. And shortly after, I realized I'd rather prevent it than treat it. And my inquiry since then, and I also became a professional chaplain, is what if president would make a difference that these people would never show up in any DV classes ever?
Yeah.
35 years ago and 12 years ago, we moved to Tucson, and I started marriage and communication coaching. 1,000 couples later, here we are.
Wow. You've had some interesting careers, boy, chaplain and counselor before you were a marriage coach. That's just, that's excellent. So I'm just curious, obviously you've been on this journey, and how many years again have you been specifically doing the marriage and communications counseling?
12 years.
12 years.
Probably could say a little bit more, but really, well, an answer to one of your questions you haven't asked yet is that I had originally invented this relationship literacy, which was really sneaky when it came to SEO, because no one looks up relationship literacy. And then when I switched to marriage and communication coaching and counseling, all of a sudden my CEO exploded, because people, when they're upset, they look for marriage counselors. They don't look for relationship literacy. But at the time, I thought it was a really good idea.
Interesting. I love that lesson, actually. So thank you for the sneak preview, Paul, because you're absolutely right. Those words, as soon as you said marriage and communication counseling, it was crystal clear what you did. What you did in your description was you gave us pictures of the type of profiles and scenarios that you actually help, which is just so powerful for understanding, can you actually help me with my particular problem? So that's amazing. But what you're hinting at, obviously, is one of the mistakes that you might have made? So as you reflect back on those 12 years, what is the biggest mistake that you would say that you've made in this business?
Trying to learn it all by myself. Now, I'm 75 years old. I grew up in the 50s and the 60s, a
Yes.
very different era in the nation we live in.
Yes.
And my first hard drive was 10 megabytes. Think about that. And I remember before Windows, and that was 3.5. Now we're at Windows 11. So I
Yes.
grew up in a very different era. And I struggled to learn everything I could possibly learn, which was kind of a waste of time since not only the times have changed, the language has changed, the
Yes.
technology has changed, and there's not a chance for me to master it all. But I tried. It was very frustrating. And once I
Yes.
added people to my initiative, things got
Yes.
one a lot easier, a lot better. So
Yes.
basically, when you run out of yourself, add people. That's the lesson.
Yes. Well, I love that lesson, Paul. And I want to go a little bit deeper because I can tell you, as a 60 something starting this business, I can relate. Technology is not my gift in life. No, that is no secret to anybody that knows me. So, how do you even know when it's time to look beyond? Because, like you, I made the same mistake, I'll admit. I was diving into courses, trying to learn all of this myself. When do you know that it's time to look outside of you and not just rely on your own skill set?
Well, if you're taking a lot longer to achieve any possibility of performance and productivity, when you're exhausted
Yeah.
and frustrated that you just can't get this particular Windows application. You might not even know of all the Windows applications that are out there. You just don't
Yes.
know. You don't know what you don't know. And when it get at some point, it just takes longer. And
Yeah.
my book, Marriage and Communication Recipes for Life, came out of my experience of 2,000 couples. And uh, I thrive face to face and online with people, but I'm not a tech person. I'm a
Yeah.
great provider. And I had to realize that there's a difference between a provider and a business operator.
Yes, that's a great point. So when you wanted to then take that book and make it easily accessible for people, then it starts to require technical skills. So I loved your answer. We're really out of our comfort zone and there's a frustration there. So, but I loved what you said. We don't know what we don't know. In other words, how did you know you need an SEO person? Because it just it's all confusing language, right? So how did you know you needed an SEO expert when you don't know anything about marketing?
Well, you can look at your email inbox and you'll see all the people who would just be happy to coach you
Yeah.
every day. I've been looking at your website and here there's no, can you come on and talk and blah, blah. So I found one person in particular who I liked, who happened to be in Calcutta. And he's got
Okay.
degrees in this thing and he knows, and it's just easy to accomplish what were for me complicated tasks in seconds.
Yes.
So, and he has people, India's highly technological, at least the middle class place. And he knows and he has people to help him for social media, for SEO, for all kinds of, creating courses. Uh,
Yes.
so I just meet with him and I follow his leaning, we're willing to surrender your way for success.
Yes. I
Because
love
often
this.
your way and success are not compatible.
Oh, well said. Well said. And I love there were so many nuggets in what you just shared. The first thing I heard was they actually diagnosed you. You didn't wake up one day and say, "Oh my goodness, my marketing is struggling. I think I need an SEO person." Those people approached you, and I know what you mean. Probably 50. I get emails from through LinkedIn,
Y-
all at least helping, offering to help me with my SEO. So the second thing, how did you actually choose? Because this is important when you don't have that expertise. What are the kind of criteria? Because many people will say they can help you. So, what did you look for when you were choosing that vendor?
It was a personal connection, how they listened, their suggestions, how they occurred to me. Um, because you can always find someone that'll say, do this, 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 and this, and you'll be fine. And that's kind of a report, kind of a how to do it. But I was more interested in the person who I spoke with, who also has a resume that he helps not in this country. He helps a lot of other counselors and works for them as well. So they have a success rate with other counselors like myself.
Yes.
And it was a personality match.
Of course, of course. There always needs to be a fit and a comfort for sure. But I love what you said because you looked for performance, you looked for results. I think sometimes some people are graduating and they've just emerged. They've got a skill set and they're approaching people, but looking for the testimonies, looking for the results. Have you created that? And I remember sometimes I even look for their own website. So if they're offering to help me with a website, I want to see yours. I want to know that you've been able to even at a minimum apply what you've learned to yourself, but further have you helped other businesses and how? And what you said was they've helped other similar businesses. So they're an understanding there, not just generally about business, but unique to your space.
And don't be afraid to change providers if they're not working for you. Rashid, his name is, was my third, maybe fourth person and developed the website, designed a website. At least the third person who I gave control over to my website design. So if I guess the tip would be if you're not satisfied with how they're doing it for you, then move.
I love that. I love that. And how did you know? Because some people, I love what you just said, Paul, because some people will hire somebody and think, oh, my goodness, thank God I never have to think about that part of my business again, right? And so they outsource and they just delegate it away. But you knew that the first couple were not working. So how do you keep a pulse on it, Paul? What's the secret there?
Well, the biggest mistake of my first provider, who I will not name, is I used to have someone to talk to. I would send an email to Emma. Emma would talk to me back and then provide the results I'm looking for. And this organization reorganized themselves into teams. So I never got to talk to the same person, personal relationship to the person responsible. They were friendly people.
Yes.
But when they reorganized their business into teams and departments, they lost me.
Yeah. Yeah.
As long as the person-to-person relationship is important to the business that you do
Yes.
and the business that I hire.
Yes.
That was very sad. They were pretty good at what they did, and when I lost the personal touch, I never know who would answer the phone.
Yes.
It was sad because they're very good at some things they do, but they lost the personal touch.
Yes. And that's just gold what you're sharing right now, Paul, because there are so many providers, so many startups who want to have an impact, who want to reach our target market. And customer service, customer/support, I'm going to say, is one of those things that is really suffering, I see, by some companies, because you can automate, so they're completely depersonalizing that service. Or, as you say, there's a pooled model that they can migrate to, and all of that helps their own efficiency, but it distances them from the ultimate customer, right?
Which is me.
Yes.
Yeah. Wanted to be a provider of services.
Right.
I invented recently a new bit of language called return on life. ROL. You want to hear about that?
Yes, please.
We're familiar with return on investment.
Yes.
Is the money I'm spending, whether I'm an enterprise or business or couple seeking support, is the money we're spending providing us the return on life we are looking for? ROL. Enterprises are look at ROI, which is fine and appropriate. But what about the return on life of the people who do the work?
Yes.
Do they come for a paycheck, or they align with the mission of the corporation? I created about a 5-point scale. One is they come because they have to get the paycheck to pay their bills,
Yes.
which means their contribution and productivity and performance are influenced by that.
Right.
Or are they part of the organization because it leaves them an opportunity to express themselves, to be acknowledged and appreciated as a contribution? Do they welcome your thoughts? I have lots of thoughts, you know, and that would be maybe scale five. Because, and most people fall between one and five, and your personal life circumstances can alter from week to week.
Right.
So, in the business and communication, a manual for workplace collaboration, I train the team leaders to be aware of what's going on in the lives of the people who are doing the work.
Yes, I love that framework. So it sounds like you were able to observe the mistake that this other vendor made and truly took that to heart and created a whole framework, a whole scale, a whole scoring system that now you've integrated into your business.
Well, when I do networking, which I do, and
Yes.
I said to an insurance agent once that you're selling peace of mind. You're not selling insurance policies.
Nice.
You're selling peace of mind. And they go, "Ah." If you're a investment or estate planner,
Yes.
they're not looking for details. They're looking for return on life. And if you as an enterprise, new or otherwise, are aware of that, bottom line is if you can show them that they have a return on life they're looking for from
Yes.
whatever you're doing, if they say, oh, that's exactly what I want,
Yes.
then you've got a sale.
Yes, I love that. What you're doing is helping people to define what business are you in based on the that high level outcome that you want to achieve. And life is a nice general way of saying that because I'm not going to presume what your outcomes, desired outcomes will be, whether that's peace or freedom or quality of living or whatever that is, that part differs. But your RLL allows me to define what's a satisfying, fulfilling life for me.
At some point we'll get to personality types and communication skills, but let's do answer some of your other questions first. As
I love that. So what is the outcome? So you obviously learned that lesson. So what did that cost you in terms of time?
it was really once you learn how to communicate, it goes fast. Because if whether it's selling product X, name what your X is, and if in the first sentence they get that you get them, you support them, and you offer them the control over their lives to produce what they want for themselves and their lives. It's a little bit of a complicated answer, but rapport is as easy as three lines. It's a rather shorter attention span these days. Not to belabor the point, but if that, at one point I did indexes for books back in my history. And if they can't find what they're looking in the index of the books within two lines, they'll leave it.
Exactly. So, and you did mention those other lessons that you learned as a result of, for example, the SEO. So, but more specifically, that problem where you were trying to do the skills yourself, you were trying to do those things yourself, and then there was the mistake that really let's leave it in the hands of the experts to deal with. So that bigger picture mistake, what would you say that cost you?
Well, a heck of a lot of time. So I thrive on a person-to-person relationship.
Yes.
Among other things, when I found a publisher, the first publisher I worked with, then I had someone to hold my toes to the fire. I had deadlines, I had things I had to write by when that ultimately wound up as a book. So it saves one heck of a lot of time. I did write a book. My very first book was very intellectual, based upon the way I see the world as a thinker rather than a feeler. Talk about that more later.
Yeah.
But once I engaged a publisher, I had someone to support me.
Yes. So what's the difference between, so you've published a couple, right?
The first one was okay, but it was more intellectual. And I've learned since then
Yes.
that most people just want directions. They do not want explanations.
There you go. Interesting. So you learned about the quality.
Myers-Briggs world, 3 out of 4 people just want telling me how to do it. Don't bore me with the details. They don't care.
Right.
So that's why my newest book, Marriage and Communication Recipes for Life, is formatted as a cookbook.
Yes.
Follow the
Excellent.
recipe. Don't have to understand. There's not a chapter to read. Follow the directions. Get your cake. Only the cake is your life. So I was able to go from an intellectual brilliance, I'll say brilliance, to like, this is how you do it.
Yes, exactly. So I love that. So the quality of the output changed. And now you're talking about a publishing example and not the SEO one. This is great. So what was the time frame though? So when you tried to do it on your own, how long did that publishing effort take? Just so that our listeners out there can actually just more tactically understand sometimes the difference, because we don't understand quite often the opportunity costs of us continuing to just kind of wing it and figure things out on our own. We're all bright, brilliant, as you say, capable people. We'll figure it out over time, but there's a lost time, an opportunity cost as it relates to time that we don't always put our finger on in the moment. So that publishing ordeal, we're trying to wing it on your own versus working with a publisher.
Yeah, it cost me about at least 3, if not 4 years.
Yeah, there you go.
Go. From I now know enough because I learn from the couples I coach.
Yes.
Right. So and to everyone, there's a lesson to me on some level, and being married to my spouse, another bunch of lessons. So I finally accumulated enough wisdom, and I'm a good writer, to turn my blogs into a book.
Yes. Yes. So it
cost me at least 3 to 4 years to get where I am today. I published the book literally a year ago.
Yes. Well, congratulations, first of all, on that, because that is huge accomplishments. And so it cost you time. And you also said it really cost you resonating. I mean, to do it in a recipe format, right? Like, and being told, you realizing rather that you need to tell people. I mean, your whole style of writing changed, is what I'm hearing. What any other lessons that you took away from that experience?
And well, let's take a little more time, but I understood, among other things, that people feel loved in slightly different ways. And every couple that comes to me gets a copy of the 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman.
Oh, yes.
And often they find out that they've been misloving each other, each one believing, I'm showing my love. Only for me, it's being appreciated in quality time, but for them, it was acts of service.
Yes.
So I learned, for instance, my spouse likes to change the sheets on a weekly basis. On my own, I go, another week, that's fine.
Yeah.
But for her, that doesn't work. And I know her love language is acts of service. She lives acts of service. She shows love her whole life, whether it's doing laundry or coaching, coaching students. She was a principal in supplementary ed school. So she thrives, energy from just being out there with people. That's not my style, by the way.
Yeah.
So when she says, let's change the sheets, my us jumps in and said, listen, say yes. Because when you do, you're showing love to her. She feels love from you. At the end of the day, we are more loved. And when she says, thank you for shipping the beds, I feel loved because being appreciated is my love language. So I learned of 2 main things, love languages, because people feel connected in slightly different ways.
Yes, I love that example. And we always think that we're giving. We always show up with good intentions. But when our love language is different from somebody else, what we're doing is not landing on them. And so
it doesn't communicate.
It doesn't communicate. And similarly, when we're marketing our business, we market based on how we want to be marketed to, based on how who's five. So make this take rather than thinking, English exactly, and we just spray and pray or insert our own bias rather than really understanding our market. So I loved your analogy. That's a great example and some important lessons.
The next most important is to be with, you can't say anything in any way with any language unless you know who's listening and how they listen. One of the takeaways from the 16personalities.com is a version of the Myers-Briggs personality type indicator. Please take it yourself to learn about you. And it's very clear, among other things, that there are people who approach the world analytically, logically, cognitively. They seek plans and outcomes, and you might notice that I didn't use the word feelings in that list.
Yes.
There are people who approach the world, something happens, and why is this? To analyze and figure it out. I do that. Okay.
Yeah.
But there are people like whom I'm married to, is they respond to the world emotionally. How they feel about it shows up first, and later they can think about it. For example, a thinker, letter T, may marry a feeler, which they often do, because feelers look more interesting than the more thinkers.
Right.
And they may say, "Why do you feel that way?" And argue them out of their feelings, which leaves them feeling unheard and disrespected.
Yeah.
From now on, we get to honor the feelings of our partners.
Yeah.
And for example, the person you want to serve, your prospective client, you want to know, are they a thinker or are they a feeler? To a thinker, imagine you're a real estate agent and you want to sell real estate. To a thinker, you talk about mortgages, amortizations, percentages, bank relationships, how long it takes to get to work. That's what they're interested in. That's the information they are looking for in the way they process the world. To their spouse, who is a feeler, you say, well, the Safeway is only 20 minutes away. The elementary schools around here are terrific, world known.
Yeah.
The foliage around here is mature. There are a lot of people, on Halloween, bring extra candy. There's so many children around.
I love that. Thank you for those examples. Yeah.
When you talk to a thinker, you speak thinker.
Exactly.
When you talk to a feeler, you speak feeler. Otherwise, they're not going to hire you.
Exactly. I love that. Very practical advice. Thank you, Paul, for that, because we really need to put ourselves in the shoes of our customers and say, what type are they? What do they need to hear from me? Is it data points? Are they a CFO and they need numbers? Is it the CHRO? I'm stereotyping a wee bit, but CHRO, and do they need to hear about some of the feelings and what impact it's going to have on the people? So you're really making smart decisions. And I'm going to add one more, Paul, just because I've been taking a course right now, and people often say, when I'm making reels, for example, in social media, to the excellent point you're bringing up, how do I reach the fact, feel, fun people out there? And so there's strategies like, I'm going to communicate the 3 things you need to know, 1, 2, 3. And now I'm appealing to the logical person. Or when I use feeling words, this is going to make you feel, or if you want more peace in your life, now I'm appealing to the feeling type people. So make sure you're touching all those types of
the listeners, however they listen, and what the return on life is.
Yes, I love it.
And don't forget return on life. It is a key. I invented language is important.
Yeah.
I actually, Martin Heidegger, German philosopher of the last century, says language is the house of being. Language is the house of being. The words we use literally frame our experience of being alive.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
You could be guilty or you could be accountable. You could try or you could be intentional. It's a longer conversation, but the words we use influence the outcomes in our performance and productivity.
Very much so. So be very intentional about what you choose. I'd love that.
Know yourself first.
I love that.
Go to 16personalities.com, take the quiz, learn about you.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. That's great.
5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. Take the quiz, read the book by all means, but take the quiz. And you get to be aware. You can frame your language to the person who's listening.
Exactly. I love that. Those are lessons for life. Powerful stuff, Paul. So we've been dwelling on your biggest mistake, and thank you for being a trooper and really digging deep into all the layers of that. What would you say, reflecting back on those dozen years roughly, is your biggest accomplishment?
Well, I've been able to transform into marriage and communication coaching. in the Myers-Briggs, in the Myers-Briggs world, there are people who are detail-oriented. They're sensors. They're called sensors. Don't ask me why, but they pay attention to policies, procedures, rules, regulations, and recipes and manuals. And they are into the accomplishment of life, and they're not into the reflection on life to the same degree that people who are me, who are intuitives, I look for the big answers. The bigger, the better. No, I'm married to a spouse who's a censor, and she'll say to me, I thought we figured this out a half an hour ago. Why are we still talking about this? And I'll answer, can't you see this will change world history? Because that's how I approach the world. And marriage and communication is one of my answers. Yeah. Creating marriage and communication is an answer to teenage safety. I've always been, teenagers feel obligated to say yes when they want to say no, and they don't know how. And when they say yes and exchange a piece of themselves for the sake of a relationship, it sets them up for lifelong bad strategy. So with their conversation, but so I look like, how do teenagers be safe? You remember the story I told at the very beginning about teenagers.
It'll look us back to that. Yes.
Right? Yes. And I want people to not be candidates as a perpetrator and domestic violence counselor. One of my answers is marriage and communication coaching. I've been in a 35-year inquiry. What needs to happen so people have terrific lives?
Yes.
So my biggest success is creating marriage and communication coaching.com,
yes.
coachingcommunication.com, publishing my books. Listen, I have maybe 10, 15 years left, God willing. And I want to leave a legacy, like the next book will be out, be Marriage, a guide to teenage relationships and communication.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So you're having an event.
They can learn it in high school.
I was just going to say, yes. And that was the source, right? So that was your inspiration when you saw that. So that's why I can see it's so important that you go back to that audience, that foundation of what inspired this whole business in the first place.
My passion and compassion forces me.
Yes.
And so I get to accompany people as they grow in these directions, and they have the results.
Yes. Yes.
Know yourself. Don't forget, one of these reasons why Alignable, commercial for Alignable, that I get to meet people face to face for 8 minutes, 7 minutes apart from my office. I'm an introvert. Yeah. Going out in public and networking in a public event is exhausting for me. Yes. So one of the gifts of Alignable is I can meet people all over the world, especially the United States and Canada, and I can share me. And every time I share me, I get better at sharing myself.
Yes.
And so then 7 minutes later, it ends.
Yes.
For me, it's a gift to be on the line.
For sure. So it is a great format, and it provides that one-on-one connection, as you said. And so introverts are not having to stand up and speak in front of hundreds and hundreds of people. It's a nice, intimate one-on-one, which is certainly the venue that brought us together. And I'm extremely grateful for that. Are there any other?
You're an introvert. You're an introvert.
Yes.
And you know yourself being tired, you need to stop and take a break.
Yes.
You're on the whole, social extroverted people get energy from social interaction. They come home with more energy than when they left. But that's not true for an introvert, and there's a percentage of strength. But for me, I made the mistake of going to a Grateful Dead concert, and I know how old I am. And it was so loud and so bright and so crowded in that gym at Old Dominion University in Richmond, it was physically painful.
Yes.
If you're an introvert, be careful of the business enterprise that you start, because you need to be responsible, at least that you know that you want to do it in short pieces so you can relax in between and nourish yourself. Because if you wear yourself out as an introvert trying to be an entrepreneur, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yes, exactly. No, that's such great advice. And as you say, look for those venues like Alignable where there's a one-on-one connection, if that's the nature of the communication and exchange and relationship building that you want to do. So knowing yourself is absolutely fundamental. That's great advice. Any other learnings that you want to share with our listeners? Any other nuggets we've not touched on yet?
Well, the basic there's a basic set of communication skills that I teach everybody first. And that is the very first and foremost is the word seems. I won't take it too long on this, but seems we are talking, and it sounds as if we're speaking the truth. We speak declaratively. And when a person hears me speak that way, like you, instantly their mind goes to good, bad, right, wrong, agree, or disagree. It's part of the human design.
Of course.
And if you're an entrepreneur speaking to a client, you have to be aware that as you speak, they're evaluating good, bad, right, wrong, agree, or disagree. And if what you say to them doesn't match what they intend or anticipate, we will stop listening and stop communicating and start arguing about whose truth is truer, whose reality is most real, and who's right and who's wrong. And for that, we need the word seems. Seems bypasses the truth app. A seam opens up for discussion, where a truth will open us up for an argument about whose reality is most real, who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah, because it sounds wishy-washy, right?
Seems is important. Then the other words are yes and.
Yeah. And actually, before sorry, I just want to make sure I take the point away from seams, because I'm thinking it, I want to make sure there's great learnings in that one, because people are making reels all the time. And as you're right, when we're scrolling, right, we're constantly making judgment calls. So when I hear the word, it seems, and I'm scrolling, what reaction do you think that's having on me as the scroller?
Well, you don't want to be, there are people who don't like to be told what to do. Right?
Yeah.
So if you say this is that way, you have instant resistance. If you say there's a possibility here that seems to me that if we were to take this approach, we will experience higher productivity and performance. It seems leaves room for discussion.
Right. Yeah.
And the other word I would highlight, and to avoid declaratives like always and every, are you always da 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 da? Are you every da 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 da? Well, the key word there is tends to.
Tends to, yes.
If you want to maximize the amount of listening,
yes,
and always, ever, never, and only will lose you listening, a tends to supports listening. Seems to me that people tend to leads to less arguments.
Yes.
People do often tend to, but they don't always.
Yes. I love that, Paul. It's also gold, because sometimes when you're scrolling, you hear somebody tell you, right? They're trying to be assertive. And when it's like 3 seconds into a reel, the reaction is, you don't even know me yet. So we can really come across, right? Good intentions, but we can really come across as know-it-alls. You haven't earned yet. You have got no credibility in the first 3 seconds. You've not earned it yet.
Lost them.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yep.
The other key word is start your sentences with yes. Many as possible. Why is this? When I say, someone says something to me, yada, 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 I say, yes, I hear you. Remember, this phrase means we're connected. Yes. I've listened to you and I know what you said.
Yeah.
Yes, I hear you. Sets us up for, and how can I help? And is there something you need from me? And when's a good time for us to sit down with a cup of coffee and talk about it? So the key is that yes, you don't need an argument longer than it takes to say yes.
Yes, because
how about breakfast? Yes, and how about scrambled eggs? Anywhere along the line, a yes serves you very well.
Yes. What's the impact of a no? What happens to us when we hear the word no, Paul?
Oh, how did you like hearing the word no growing up? Right? When our parents, we said, da da da, mom, they go, no, later after dinner, talk to your dad. You learn that eventually what you wanted was highly unlikely, and we want to be able to say, by when, for instance. They say, my mom says, yes, I will talk to you after dinner.
Yes.
We could put a tab on the browser, and after dinner, you'll be heard. Imagine you're being a teenager or a child. But
Right.
if you say no, well, you can say no as long as there's an and next to it.
Right.
But if you're in Home Depot and say, I want a left-handed wrench, and I
Yes.
said, no, we haven't got those. You go, and we have
Yes.
right-handed wrenches. Would you like one of those? Sale.
Yes.
As
Yes.
long as a no with an and connects us to what's next, a no by itself will shut us down in our relationship.
Yes, I love that because if a client says, "Well, do you have that? Here's the solution that I need," then that no is going to shut that down right away. So I love what you're saying. It opens the door. It invites more conversation. I love that. So you're giving us just some practical tips that I are just absolute gold, Paul, today. And certainly, whether you're a coach like yourself or you're somebody who can role model these things to their teams, right? Because within a corporate environment, we really can build these skills, can we not?
They're essential because if they can't hear you without when you go always, people always, your customers always or never and only,
Yes.
you're gonna lose listening. The more listening we have, the more we have to spend on communication and connection. So we want to maximize listening, minimize linguistic distractions.
Yes.
And a yes and an and set you up for connection and relationships from home to work.
I love it. You've given us just some life lessons, not just startup lessons, Paul. So I've just got so much value out of today. And no doubt our listeners will want to continue the conversation. So how can they reach you, Paul?
You can find me at marriageandcommunication.com, which is one of those fortunate happenstances. When I was looking for a new name for my business, I searched for keywords and when I found that no one had taken marriage and communication. It was one of those, gifts from the divine, perhaps. So I got one of the best names for my business with the best SEO ever because people look for marriage and communication first.
Yes.
So that was so marriageandcommunication.com is a great place, and I'll meet with anybody. I've helped people in Austria and Edmonton, and I'm about to help a couple in Philippines, 15 hours ahead, by the way.
Wow.
But
That's great.
I'll make the accommodations to meet anybody wherever they are.
Yes. Well, thank you for that because we see your office in the background. So I'm glad that people don't think that they need to be in your neighborhood. Obviously, with technology today, it's possible to help people globally. And you've got a very compelling mission, Paul. It's been inspiring to hear your story today and so many valuable lessons to help people, not just in their business, but as I say, in their everyday lives. So thank you again for making time.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute treat.
One last thought is that when you're on someplace like LinkedIn or Facebook, the person who shows up on LinkedIn is actually two people. They're the person who comes home to his life, his family, and his children. And there's a person who's in the business. And it's somewhat of a distinction. Realize that the people you talk to, they're either business people or home people at the same time.
Yeah.
And when we forget that distinction, we lose some power along the way.
I love that. I love that. Excellent. Well, you've absolutely saved our listeners, I'm sure, years off of their startup journey. So it's been absolute gold and a pleasure, Paul. Thanks.
I get up every day to do this. I'll meet a
Yeah,
phone calls me up at 2 a.m. I'll answer the phone.
that's
That's
awesome.
who I am. And I look forward to meeting all of you and providing you some extraordinary lives of productivity and performance.
Terrific. Thank you again. Take care.
Thank you.
Just, oh, hang on.